We're working on a focus exercise here with Kevin. So I'm going to try to lure him. I want him facing me. There we go. So I'm kind of, if you can see, I've got my feet off to the side. He's a low dog, so I want to be above him when I'm doing this. And I'm holding a bunch of treats in this hand, one treat here. And I'm waiting. I want to put it so that he can smell them. But I'm waiting for him to voluntarily look up at my face. Now, I imagine that there's a string between my eyes and his eyes. Focus. I'm just going to say focus every time it touches his lips. So I break the string here, and then I travel down the string, focus. And then I dip it at the last minute and put it into his mouth. Always say the word when you give the command word when you give a treat. Focus. Now at first it's just 1 second, focus. Eventually, what I want you to do when you're practicing, I want you to have about 12 or so treats in your hand, a little bit more, a little bit less is okay. Do this throughout the day. So each one of you, there's two guardians here, I'd like each one of them to do at least once a day with the dog, but the goal should be twice a day each with the dog. So what we want to do, and don't do them 4 in a row, do them and then make sure there's time, hopefully he can nap in between. Dogs categorize what they learn when they sleep. So what we want to do is eventually go, focus. And make that second movement take 20 seconds. But to get there, you don't go from 1 second to 20. You go 1 second, all 4 practices were all 1 second, 1 second. Then maybe the next day, 1 second, 2 seconds on the second movement. Then the third day, maybe 3 seconds. But not always 1 second a day. Some dogs need a little faster, some dogs need a little bit slower. This gives me the ability, after we've established enough, I can say, focus. Now we haven't done enough for him to do it yet. Focus. So don't start trying to use this until you've got to the point where you can get him to look up at you and maintain a gaze for at least 20 seconds before you actually start trying to use it outside. Now when you start using it outside, there's going to be a lot of distractions. So if we do it while there's a dog approaching and there's construction going on and a sweep sweeper, there's just too much, it's way too much stimulus for him. So when you're walking and there's no people around, no dogs, it's nice and quiet, every once in a while stop, say focus, focus, and then continue walking. So we want to start establishing and do the same thing. At first it's 1 second, but in focus, or you're saying it until you say focus, he looks up at you. And you're not going to go for your knee, you're just going to have it, you focus. Just make sure you're holding it between your eyes and his eyes. So once you've practiced this enough in a private setting, then you can start doing it when there are mild distractions. Maybe it's a little construction, but not dogs. Dogs are his big reactive thing. And it's really, he's not aggressive towards them unless they're really bad, well, I would say bad dogs, but bad dogs displaying unwanted or unbalanced behavior. But he's very excited. He wants to he barks and whines. He wants to meet every dog he meets. And while we want him to meet and socialize as many dogs as he can, it's not always reasonable. And sometimes the dog that we're meeting is not going to be a sociable dog either. So what we need him to do is understand that he can't meet every dog he meets. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with, and this is independent of the focus exercise, going for a walk and not letting him meet a single dog, walking him past. Now, if you get close to a dog and he starts whining and getting all upset, sometimes if we just jog 15 or 20 paces, we can decrease the amount of time that he's looking and approaching this other dog. And also he's doing something faster where he can't stop and look at the other dog because he's moving forward. But eventually what we're going to do is, let's say that he's walking on my left side and we have another dog walking down here. And we're going to pass, and they're going to pass here. When the dog gets close enough, I would just say focus, and as we're walking, I'm taking steps as I'm doing this, and he's focused up on me, not looking at the other dog. It gives us the ability to redirect his attention away and get him to relax and calm down because he's just focused on you rather than focused on the other dog. Now, it's going to depend on what the other dog is doing. If the other dog is walking by and he's nice and calm, this energy, and he's walking a nice heel and he's not barking or lunging, that'll be a lot easier. He's probably getting a lot closer to that dog before he's reactive. If you have a dog that's like pulling on the leash and barking at everything and lunging around, he's going to be much more reactive at a much greater distance. So just because he's not reactive to one dog and reactive to another, look at the situation. How was the dog's behavior? And not only just that, maybe there was construction going on. Maybe there's other things that are stressing him out a little bit. If you're in a room with a crying baby for an hour and somebody says something normally you would brush off, it might get on your nerves. Same sort of thing for him. If he's hearing a lot of dogs barking or construction, that puts him a little bit more on an edge. So by practicing the focus exercise in the house and mastering it there, we're eventually later on, and when we need it, to redirect his attention. Now, last little bit is, let's say that there's a dog that's coming in. He catches you out of nowhere. It comes around a corner too quick. You're not ready for it. One of the things that you can do is practice what I call a U-turn. So every once in a while when you're walking, whenever I turn, if the dog's on this side, I always turn away from the dog, so keep it on my outside. Every once in a while, I would just turn, and when the dog turns, have a treat. So if the dog's walking here, as soon as we turn here, I'm going to reach across my body and offer him a treat and say the word turn. And then walk a couple more pieces, do another turn. So we're kind of doing a mini U-turn every once in a while for no apparent reason. Make sure you do this when there are no dogs or other dogs around, so he gets used to that movement. Sometimes my human just does a half turn, take a couple steps, and then another half turn, then we continue back the original direction. This way, if you get caught by surprise, like you guys mentioned, there's a German Shepherd that came out of nowhere, well, you can just turn around, and he's used to doing it. It's not, you're pulling me away from this dog, just sometimes we turn around and go the other direction. So U-turn is really, but again, we have to practice these behaviors in a class or practice setting without all the stimulus and things that he's reacting to, so we can help him understand this is the behavior I want from you in this specific situation. And once we've done that, most dogs will do it automatically. You get to the point where you see a dog and he just turns in front of you. All right, so this is how we can use the focus to redirect our dog's attention.